In this section, we are going to talk about logic with the Python functions, and by saying logic, what I mean that in this function we are going to use the while loop, for loop, if statements, so all of them are considered as a logic. And also we need to have the booleans and the mode as well. Let me just dive in a little bit and remind what is the mode is. So for instance, if I say the 5 mod 2, what does it mean? That if I divide the 5 by 2, and there it is going to be one remainder, because the 4 is perfectly divisible by 2, and from the 4 we need to go 1 up to get a 5. Or I can say 6 mod 3, and it's perfectly divisible by 3, so there is no remainder, and the result is going to be 3. So that is the mode. So how can I combine my mode and with a boolean? So if I say the 5 mod 3 is perfectly divisible by 3, and there is no zero, there is no any remainder, so it is giving a false to me because there is a remainder, it's not equal to 0. Or I can say the 6 is perfectly divisible by 3, which is equal to 0. You see, so 6 mod 3 is equal to 0, and it is going to give it true because that is true statement. 6 is perfectly divisible by 3. And right now what we are going to do is we will make a new function, and this function is going to check if the number is divisible by, if it's even number or not. So right now what I'm going to do is, let me just zoom in a little bit. So I will define a new function. So my new function is going to be, let me say, even checker. And I will give my variable num now. You see, so let's see what is going right now. I'm defining new function, and that is the name of the function that I'm going to call later on. And whenever I call it, I need to provide a new variable. And for instance, we are talking about integers now. So right now, what I'm saying, I will tell that, hey, I want to check if that number even or not. So I will say return. My num is mod 2 and is equal to 0. So right now it is going to return my boolean as we did over here. You see, so 6 mod 3 equal to 0. So my boolean, my output is true. And the same over here. If the number is divisible by 2, which is no remainder, that means that is even number, so it is going to print as output true. So let me just define it. So you see, I'm just defining that. So right now it didn't give me output anything because we didn't call the function yet. So right now I will call it. So I will say even checker. Let me just put it here, and I will provide a variable. Let me just put it 6 inside. You see, so that is my name of the function. I put it here, and I'm just giving my new variable. So it is going to print a 6, the true. So let me just give 21, and it is going to be false now. Now let me give another example. So right now we were talking about if I have a function and I have a one variable only, and that is integer. What if as a variable I have a list that is going to be provided later on? So for instance, what I will make a new function. So this function is going to check if in that list we have any even numbers. So imagine that you have a list, and my function is going to go inside and see if any of that is even a number. Okay, so let me just define a new one. So I will say even checker. Let me just put the list. You see, that is my new function right now, and inside I will be having list. So let me just say num list. Oops, num list. You see, that is my name of the function, and that is my variable. So right now I need to use my for loop, because right now I don't have only one variable here. I have a list with different variables inside. So I will say for I in num list. If you pay attention here, you see my for is inside my function, inside my function, and right now I have another lines of code that is going to be inside my for loop. I will say if I is perfectly divisible by 2, so there is no remainder, and I will say return true. So let's see what is going on. So I have 4 lines of code. That is the name of my function, and that is my list that is going to be provided later on. So right now I need to make a loop so the I is my new variable, and it is going to inside of my list here. And if any of that, if any number is even number, it is going to print a true for me. So right now, let me just call my function now, which is even checker list. I will say even, let me just call it checker list, and I will provide a list inside. You see, if you pay attention over here, I have a parenthesis, so we need to put the parenthesis for sure. And inside that parenthesis, I have a list. So let me just give a different list. I will say 1, 3, 4, and 7. If I run it, it is going to print it true for me. What if I will give none of them is... It didn't give me output right now because here we didn't specify. So right now it is going to print the true, only true if and only if is one of them is even number.